The Springboks' record-breaking win against the All Blacks at Twickenham on Saturday has certainly ruffled the feathers of the rugby world. Whilst the All Black coach and players and most fans after the match were magnanimous in their response to the game, the same can't be said of the panel on the weekly New Zealand rugby show called The Breakdown. The likes of Jeff Goldie Wilson and Mils Muliaina had very little to say about how well South Africa played in giving the All Blacks their biggest hiding ever, but lots about how slow the game was, that it was an abomination, how unfair the Scott Barrett's second yellow card was, how Mark supposedly feigned an injury, how unworkable the bunker system is, etc, etc, etc. In this video we will have a look at what the panelists on the show had to say and how they were roasted by most people on YouTube when watching the episode of The Breakdown, including by many of their New Zealand compatriots. So let's listen to what the panelists had to say on The Breakdown. Listen to how Jeff Wilson even had the nerve to say that whilst this is the best that the Springboks can ever play, New Zealand can still play much, much better. What a meltdown. I suggest that going forward the program be renamed to The Meltdown. Let's have a listen.
We know exactly that was the best that the Springboks can play. That's it. We know that we can play so much better. And there's not another team in this competition coming forward that we can anticipate that we'll play like that.
You know, it was an abomination as well in terms of the refereeing and the amount of time the game took from a fan's perspective. And I know that Ian Foster called it an uppercut afterwards, but as a fan, it more felt like I'd been kicked between the legs. That was the feeling that I had. That was the feeling that I personally had. But, you know, I do just hope that it was an aberration and that we see that, you know, the All Blacks bounce back from here.
I'm going to go straight on the offensive here. There's no way that Scott Barrett should get any type of suspension. The fact that he's in front of the judicial process is ridiculous because ultimately, for me, this shouldn't have even been a yellow card for going off his feet. The contact wasn't direct with the head. It wasn't with the head. It was on the body, it was on the shoulder. You watch what the first contact is. There's no doubt he's gone off his feet. But he's hit him in the shoulder first, and then there's been a collision with another player beside him. And I look at that, and yes, it was reckless.
It's an 80-minute game. It took 107 minutes, and there was 33 minutes of actual play. And if we're going to be having conversations like this all through the World Cup, it's going to be a boring World Cup. What worried me about the red mist that Scott Barrett showed and the red card is, yeah, I agree with you. I hope that nothing happens to him at the judiciary. What I want to know from you two is, do you think we are going to see players taking a fall, or to use some football parlance, taking a dive? Because we did see with Marks there, you know, effectively appealing to get the bunker in on Scotty Barrett. Are you too worried that we're going to see this sort of thing in this World Cup? And that would be a big change for rugby if we did start to see that.
Absolutely you're worried because of the inconsistency. I mean, a TMO can pick up a bad clean. Someone goes down and they're reactive in terms of, you know, faking an injury. It has massive consequences in terms of the game. You know, one player off, a red card.
The bunker is not working. Bill Beaumont needs to come out and say, look, we've made a mistake. We need to get back to the flow of the game. He said once when we challenged him on Breakdown, when our game is played well, it's amazing. And I think we'd all agree with that. But when it is slow and disjointed, it is boring.
Let's now see how rugby fans reacted on YouTube. There were over 1,900 comments on the video, most of which were scathing on the panelists and the lack of appreciation shown for the Springboks' effort. Here is a selection of just a few of the 1,900 comments. As an All Black fan, I would like to say Jeff Wilson is slowly killing All Blacks rugby by showing unnecessary excuses to the public to cover the All Blacks' own drawbacks. The show is an embarrassment, bias, lacking class, intelligence and insight. Disappointed at the show this week. That Jeff can't see the difference between a red card and normal rucking is beyond me. I'm a South African. I've never hated the All Blacks as rugby players. They have always had great players and still do. I love watching South Africa versus New Zealand. It's good, no matter who wins. This game is about character and these people should promote the game in good faith and don't make young rugby players coming up in the future feel that rugby is a bad sport. This was more like the meltdown than the breakdown. What a disappointing and embarrassing reaction from Goldie and friends. Luckily, ordinary supporters know that he doesn't represent the majority view of All Black fans, who've all been humble and gracious and feet, knowing that the team can and will do better and giving props to a great Springbok performance. I was so impressed about how well the All Black coaching staff and players has taken the loss. But for the presenters, to start the show focusing solely on all the cards felt a bit like sour grapes. I'm neither Kiwi nor South African, but I love rugby. All the panel did, apart from the interviews, was whinge. I thought we would get some rugby analysis, but no. All they did was to complain about the ball in plain town and the bunker. New Zealand would have lost the match even if they had 16 players on the pitch. You need to start facing reality and carry out an objective analysis of why you lost the match. The All Blacks were outplayed in almost every area of the pitch. Get over yourself. This panel should be reviewed. Always had massive respect for All Black supporters and the humility they show as the most successful team in history. It's a shame that trigger-happy men like this have a forum where they can tarnish the incredible reputation that All Blacks have deservedly built up over the course of the last few decades. Reading some of the other comments, my perspective is not unique. As a neutral Scotland, watched Savia and Foster post-match and thought, wow, are dignified and respectful. Watch this and I can't help but think it's embarrassing and does nothing but tarnish the great reputation of the All Black. Sure, the laws are flawed and refs make mistakes, but if you don't like it, take your ball and go home. South Africa were just awesome and they handed out a proper shoeing, fair and square, and we relished their challenge in 2 weeks. As a neutral, I enjoyed the match and the All Blacks were comprehensively beating. Listening to the pundits blaming the referee is embarrassing. So glad there's a plethora of balanced rugby channels out there who saw things differently. The rest of the world watched a great spectacle of rugby where the All Blacks were monstered by the arch enemy. All Blacks were outsmarted in all areas, from players all the way to management. As an All Blacks fan, I apologize to South African fans for the excuses these people on the show are making for the most humiliating defeat in All Black history. Thanks to all the Kiwis for having issues with this panel. Respect. This must be one of the most disappointing shows from you guys I've ever seen. Pundits could learn a little from the humility the players showed after the defeat. It's quite evident that they refused to acknowledge that the All Blacks' lack of discipline was the clear reason for their loss in the game. In fact, it was a disgraceful clean out. Mr. Wilson can try and defend it and look all over the place for excuses. Been an All Black all my life, but I really don't like the arrogance of these pundits sometimes. Take a loss on the chin when we were outplayed, box played brilliantly, fair play to them. Wow, the Barrett clean-out was the most cynical scene in 2023, and if they can't see that, they have no place in commenting on the game. I have been impressed by the humility of the New Zealand supporters. I am annoyed with how two-faced these New Zealand commentators are. I was angry as hell when I watched this. I was excited to get the full breakdown of what was good or bad about the New Zealand rugby, as well as the reflection of what the Springboks did to totally dominate the All Blacks. I've learned absolutely nothing. Show some humility, guys. These pundits do us fans or both teams a disservice. I've always appreciated how gracious and victory the Kiwis have been historically. I'm saddened by how sour the pundits have been in response to this loss. Pathetic punditry. Emotional reasoning devoid of respect for the box, completely below the belt. It's frustrating to see the pundits excuse Barrett's clean out. It was stupid and intentional. These pundits could learn some humility from the majority of All Black fans who are doing their nation proud. The rugby IQ of this panel is shocking. I'm so glad that the All Blacks and their coaches still knows their rugby. It'd be very sad to see the All Blacks fall as far as this panel in regards to knowing how rugby is played. 15 infringements in the first half alone means that every time the Boks tried to play rugby, the All Blacks stopped the game. There you have it. Suffers, neutrals and our New Zealand friends speaking out. Thanks for your rivalry. Long may we battle one another on the rugby field with honor, respect and humility. If you like this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. It will be much appreciated. Respect and cheers.